Welcome to Candid Conversation number 525. Today's question: will Bitcoin be the one world currency of the Antichrist? And well, it could be Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. Basically, what Bitcoin is, it's some kind of digital currency. Whereas with normal currency, you have actual paper money or you have coins. With Bitcoin, there is no real coin. It is a digital type thing. It's some kind of stream, blockchain, and I don't know all the computer stuff behind it, but it's a stream of this code, computer code, and you have so much of that together, and that comes to one Bitcoin. And a Bitcoin right now is worth $10,000 or $11,000 in US dollars. And so the question is this the currency that the Antichrist will use? And I believe the answer to that is yes. It doesn't now. I'm not saying that it will be Bitcoin, but it will be a digital currency, because in Revelation 13, and the last, now this is just talking about the last half of the tribulation period, because that's when the Antichrist has rule over the entire world. And he's going to have everybody take the mark of the beast in their right hand or in their forehead. And if you don't do that, you can't buy or sell. And so that mark then, now it doesn't say exactly what it is, but if it's some kind of mark that allows you to participate in the economic system, I would think it would have to be a digital currency. In other words, the currency whereby you can buy or sell isn't coins or dollars. Now, it doesn't specifically say that. It just says if you don't have the mark, you can't buy or sell. So it could be that, like, having the mark is just your way of pledging allegiance to the Antichrist. And so then he will accept, in other words, he'll come up with, let's say, Israel dollars, and that's the world currency. And it could still be a paper currency, or it could be coins. But if you don't have the mark, then they won't accept your digital currency. Your paper coin, your paper dollars, or the coins. But again, that would be kind of hard to do, because it says if you don't have the mark, you can't buy or sell. So if you have paper or coins, then you can, even though officially you can't buy or sell anything, still there's value to it. So if I don't have the mark and someone else does, and I've got, say it's 1,000 Israel dollars is needed to buy a car, and here's the car salesman. Well, I don't have the mark, but I have the $1,000, and he has the mark. Well, he'll take the $1,000 under the table. That way you don't have to report it, and that way there's no taxes on it, and then he could use that money himself because he has the mark. See, so I think it has to be a digital currency, because technically the Bible doesn't say it is a digital currency, but you can't buy or sell unless you have the mark. And so if it is a paper currency or coins, then I could still buy or sell if I don't have the mark, if I buy or sell with someone who does have the mark, because they'll just go ahead and take it. Money is money. But so I think it has to be, since you can't participate in the economic system. And Jesus even told his disciples in Luke 12, sell that ye have. And they sold all things, and they had laid it down at the apostles' feet. We see in Acts 4, and the apostles distributed to every man according as he hath need. So it shows that they were fully expecting not to be able to use their money or their possessions. They would completely lose their economic power with the mark of the beast. And so all that tells me that they had to, that it has to be some kind of digital currency. And you see that today. You think of, there's a great push to make everything digital. Today, 6 months ago, they had the coronavirus, and since then, they've been talking about, oh, there's a national coin shortage. So we don't want you to use coins. We want you to use your credit cards. Well, the credit card has a chip in it. Now, all the credit cards have a chip. So they want, and you know, why is there a national coin shortage all of a sudden? Well, it's simple. It's because the Treasury stopped making coins. That causes the shortage. We just stopped making coins. And it's because they're trying to get everybody over to digital currency, because that way they can get tax money. They can track everything. A lot of transactions today, the drug trade is just horrendous. The child sex trafficking is, you know, all that. There's pornography. There's a whole lot of money involved in illegal type of activities. And if you get rid of the illegal activities, I mean, if you get rid of the money and you have digital currency, well, now it can be tracked. Maybe you legalize drugs. I mean, they've legalized marijuana. Maybe they legalize other drugs. I don't know. But regardless, even if it's illegal stuff, you can still track through the digital thing. Right now, interestingly enough, the Bitcoin is what's used for those high crime type. That's why the Bitcoin is so valuable, $10,000 or $11,000 for one single coin, is because it can be used on the black market for illegal transactions, and you can't track it. Well, that's because it's not official currency. You know, I can make anything money. I can make anything of currency. You know, if you're willing to accept uncooked spaghetti noodles, we can have a market where uncooked spaghetti noodles is the currency. You know, if people are willing to accept it. I'll take 5,000 uncooked spaghetti noodles for a car. Well, then you give it to them. You know, and then you trade it. You know, in prisons, cigarettes have been the currency of the prisons. So you can make anything your currency. And so what these illegal people have done is they make these digital things, the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies, they make that their currency that they trade for illegal activities. Well, once the government takes that over and makes it their currency, then now you can start to track everything that's done by everybody. And the idea behind it, and the reason government says they'll do it, is because they want to get rid of illegal activity, because now we can see that they're doing all these things. If we get rid of paper money, you see, if it's illegal, they're trying to make it illegal to own guns in the United States. Well, right now, I could use cash to buy a gun from somebody, and no one would know it. But if cash isn't accepted anymore, and you have to have this digital currency, the Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin, and this is the key part, is controlled by the government. Then the government can track all of those transactions because everything is digital. And so they track all those things, and you know, with their currency, the digital currency, they track it. And so now they can either stop gun sales that way, or they can tax things that wouldn't be taxed before, because all those cash transactions are eliminated, because now it's only digital currency. And so there's a great incentive for governments, in order to regulate what people do more closely and to get more tax money, there is the incentive to have digital currency. And that's why Bitcoin, although it's done in illegal markets today, that's why it's becoming more popular. And why eventually you're going to have countries using Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency instead of using paper currency or coins. And so it's then when you add in the fact that Revelation 13 says the mark of the beast, if you don't have that mark, you can't buy or sell. then it makes sense that the mark would be some kind of chip. And they've already had places where they have used chips voluntarily for tracking people, or for so it's just a matter of time before the paper currency is taken away, especially when you consider how much money is exchanged hands today through these illegal activities. And now you can monitor and control them, and can control people, what people do. The Antichrist, he's got a communist government. Communism is all about control. The technology is there now with with 5G to have video stored in the cloud, which is going to increase tremendously the capacity to have video recordings everywhere you go. And so with that extra capacity then comes greater control, greater tracking by the government. And so you can see all that happening. And so then when you throw in the mix that the mark of the beast is something that you have to have in order to buy or sell, then it makes sense that the one world currency, the Antichrist, would be Bitcoin or some type of cryptocurrency. Because we're still quite a ways away from the Antichrist coming. The rapture has to take place, and then there's a gap between the 69th and 70th week of Daniel, where a lot of events have to take place, and in those gaps is a period of years. I would say based on Daniel 11, it's at least 40 years, perhaps 120 years, and between the rapture of the church and the starting of the 70th week of Daniel, and then it's halfway through the tribulation period that the Antichrist implements the mark of the beast. So I guess my point is, all the technology is there for a digital currency today, and you can see governments pushing toward that, to where it probably won't be long before paper money and everything is eliminated. It seems like in the U.S. government, with the coronavirus, the Federal Reserve issued like $6 trillion of funding for the coronavirus. They're talking about doing another stimulus package today. Well, all that money is just extra money, which makes your current currency less valuable. And there's just all this debt that all these countries owe. So the result is, when you owe so much debt, eventually the whole thing crashes down on you, and then you end up having to revalue your currency so that the government can get rid of all their debt. And so when they do that, it makes sense then that they would go over to a digital type currency so they could get more money from taxes from these so-called illegal activities, or at least stop the illegal activities from happening, or greatly diminish them through getting rid of paper money and coins and having a digital currency instead. And so that's what the government's already working toward. And then when you consider the fact that the Antichrist is years out, at least 50 years from now is when he would be implementing the one world rule with the mark of the beast there for the last 3.5 years of the tribulation period. When you put all of those factors together, it makes sense then that the mark of the beast, especially when it keeps people from buying or selling, it makes sense then the mark of the beast would be a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency. Since it is at least 40, 50 years into the future, it may not be Bitcoin. There are other cryptocurrencies out there, but it would be some kind of digital currency. I don't see how it could be any paper money. I don't see how he could control people from buying or selling through a mark and it not being a digital currency. So that doesn't mean, you shouldn't have Bitcoin today, because again, we've got to transition to that stuff, and it's not, the mark of the beast isn't using Bitcoin. The mark of the beast is taking this mark either in your forehead or hand, and then you can't buy or sell without that mark, and then you go to hell for taking that. It has to be something implemented by the Antichrist for the last 3.5 years of the tribulation period. That's what we're talking about here as far as the, the mark of the beast. So it's not, now the mark of the beast may use Bitcoin, but if you use Bitcoin today, apart from the mark, it's no sin. It's just nothing wrong with it. There's nothing sinful about a digital currency. It's just what the Antichrist does is he makes you pledge your allegiance to him and to Satan by taking the mark. It's just like anything else. Paper money, there's no sin in having any paper money. But if I attach it to some illegal activity, buying drugs or whatever, well, then that's a sin. It's not the currency, it's not the money that's a sin, it's the activity. And so that's how it is when it comes to the mark of the beast. It's not that the cryptocurrency, digital currency, Bitcoin, it's not that that's a sin. But it's that the fact that he attaches that Bitcoin to the mark of the beast, and you take the mark of the beast, pledging your allegiance to the Antichrist or to Satan, that's where your sin is that you're bowing down or you're worshiping Satan, pledging your eternal allegiance to Satan through taking that mark or worshiping the image of the beast. That's the sin part of it. It's just he's going to attach it to that digital currency, because that's the way you control people, is through money. I mean, what's going on right now with Black Lives Matter is people are being paid, $15 an hour and up to march and protest with these signs. But probably a lot of these people that are doing the protest don't agree with the philosophies of Black Lives Matter. But if you tell them all you have to do is march up and down and hold a sign, and I'll give you $15, $16 an hour, and any other employer is only going to give you, say, $8 an hour, well, that's an easy thing to do for double the money, and it's technically not illegal, so a lot of people are going to go ahead and do it. And it's all because money has been attached to it. You can control people and get people to do all kinds of crazy things when it comes to, if you attach a lot of money to it. Money can buy pretty much everything. So if the Antichrist can control the entire money supply through his Bitcoin or crypto digital currency, and control it that way, then he can get people to worship his image. I mean, not many people are going to give up their livelihood and their ability to buy food and clothing and shelter and all the things in life. Not many people are going to give that up. So they're going to go ahead and take the mark or worship the image of the beast, even though it means selling their soul to the devil. That's what they're going to do, because then they get to do the things they want on this earth. I mean, look at what society has done. It used to be people, even if they didn't go to church, or even if they said they weren't Christians, they at least respected Christianity. They at least believed there was a God, and maybe they didn't follow him, but they at least tried to obey the morals within themselves and believed that there was a higher power or a God who was over all. So they at least had that going. But nowadays, most people, the biggest growing religion is atheism. Most people say there is no God, or if there is a God, he doesn't have any control over me. I am my own God. So if I am my own God, then the only thing that matters is me and what I do. And so then I'll just go ahead and what's the big deal? Take the mark of the beast, worship the image of the beast. They don't see any eternal spiritual implications with doing that, because all they're concerned about is the here and now and their own selfishness. They walk by sight and not by faith. So they say, well, what's the big deal that I take this mark or I worship the image? Because if it means I'm going to get free stuff, I mean, look at, like I said, Black Lives Matter. People are doing stuff that they're probably not in agreement with and going along with that cause because they're given a lot of money to do so. So it's the same thing when it comes to the mark of the beast. Doesn't mean that they really believe that Satan is God or the Antichrist and that we should worship him. They believe in atheism, that there is no God, that you are your own God. And so, but they say, hey, if I take this mark, I get all this free stuff. I get to buy and sell, and I get to participate in this economic system. I mean, that's what you look at, and so then they'll go ahead and do it. And so what better way to control people than with money? And with the digital currency, you can control all people, having the whole one world under that. It's interesting when you look at work today. It used to be that work was always, farming or crops or manufacturing. But you could tell somebody, this is what I do for a living, and regardless of what they did, they could understand what you did. But nowadays, these occupations are so obscure. Well, because they have machines doing everything. Machines are building cars now, robots in different things. And so because of this, because of that, there's the obscurity of jobs. What are you? Well, I'm a data engineer. Well, what does that mean? It's like, because of everything, we've taken away all the manual labor and we've automated it to a great extent. Well, people still have to work, so now your jobs are these more abstract technological type of jobs. And like I said, with Black Lives Matter, you got all these people marching and getting money. Well, what exactly are they doing? It's not a real job, it's not real work, but it's considered a job. They're getting paid a regular hourly wage. And so as you get more technology and things, they say, oh, the robots and the machines, they're going to replace humans. Well, it's not that humans are going to be out of work. It's just the work is a different type. It's more of a psychological thing. That's why information, there's so much money and jobs surrounded by information today, because they control you psychologically in your mind with information, because information is power. And so then the jobs are getting more toward these abstract technological type jobs, which means that when you look at what's going on with, when it comes to the digital currency, everything, the jobs that the Antichrist would have probably is not making widgets or growing corn, because everything's done by machine. So the jobs can be focused on a communism type thing and keeping control over everybody. And you get paid just to do your little small part in controlling everybody. And so as you see those jobs getting over to something that's not really useful, it can all be about control and communism. And so then they can also control you with technology, digital currency, rather than paper money or coins. So like I said, the Bible doesn't specifically say that there is a digital currency, but we've been working toward that. It makes a lot of sense. And so I do believe, I think I can say with reasonable certainty that the one world currency, the Antichrist, will be some kind of Bitcoin or some crypto or digital currency. Thanks for watching.